When Rondé Barber played in the NFL, he was everywhere. Quaint in size, a quilt in coverage, and quick to a quarterback. Still to this day, nobody has cracked the combination of sacks and interceptions quite like him. He was a student. The same brilliant mind that led him to Virginia helped become his greatest asset at the next level, especially in the film room. An innovator, defining the modern-day slot corner position, a disciple of Monte Kiffin who pushed Rondé to learn every entity of a transformative Tampa 2 defense which still exists today. He's a Super Bowl champion, a performer between the lines, and a player who thrived in big moments, especially on a frosty night in Philadelphia.
That's picked off, and who else? Rondé Barber.
Rondé was relentless, an Iron Man like Ripken, refusing to get replaced on the field. An omnipresent figure for an organization despite how good or how bad it got for some of those seasons in Tampa Bay. It's only fitting for this legend to enter the coveted walls of Canton in his 6th year of eligibility. He was a DB with TD on his mind 14 times in his 16-year career. His bust will feature a familiar smile, a little stubble to distinguish himself from his brother, and a list of stats to prove his uniqueness deserved the highest distinction. When Rondé Barber played in the NFL, he was everywhere. And now that his Hall of Fame pursuit is finished, he's exactly where he needs to be. Frozen in time with the greatest players who have ever suited up in the sport. Hello and welcome to this 10 Tampa Bay Plus special. I am Evan Klosky, and on this day, September 25th, Rondé Barber will receive his Hall of Fame Ring of Excellence from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which will mark the completion of his Hall of Fame journey, which started in February when he learned he would be entering the halls there in Canton. 10 Tampa Bay has been there every step of the way throughout this process as he became one of 371 in the halls there in Canton. Now, before we head out to Ohio, I was able to sit down one-on-one with Rondé Barber about what this Hall of Fame journey has been like.
It's been good. It's been fun. It's been taxing to a degree, but I mean, the reward for, 16-year career, to finish at this destination, I mean, all this is worth it. When you play as long as I did, I think a lot of people tend to forget, kind of what you were. Obviously not here, but around the country, football fans, they didn't really remember, some of the great things that I did when I was playing. So being able to tell them again was rewarding, but it was also a sell. So at this point, I'm tired of selling myself. If that made it in a roundabout, circuitous way, I'm sick of talking about myself. But it is going to be nice for my friends, my family, everybody that's been rooting for me for the last 6 years to get in one place at one time and celebrate, what was a Hall of Fame career. I don't know if this is what got us over the top, but I talked about my uncommonness and being not as big, physical, and prototypical as some of the guys that are in the Hall of Fame. The word I like to use, or the term I like to use, was I had to do more to be equal, and there's no reason you shouldn't celebrate that. And so we really tried to push that point. I was uncommon. I did a lot of uncommon things. I didn't do things that my peers did, or in the manner in which they did it. I kind of created it to work for me, and my lack of size and my reliance on short space quickness and playing above the neck, so to speak, that separated me from those guys. Not that I was doing it better than those guys, but I was doing it my way and still making a whole hell of a lot of plays. I feel like that's being celebrated with me getting inducted into this class.
One of the cool moments before heading out to Canton was when the Valspar Championship congratulated its general chair with a Rondé Barber Day and brand new golf cart to match that gold jacket coming his way. Penn Tampa Bay flew up to Canton, Ohio for the Hall of Fame weekend. And before we get into the induction ceremony, let's talk about everything that happened right before in that small little town there in the Buckeye State. We're talking about an exclusive interview with legendary head coach Tony Dungy and also the historic Gold Jacket ceremony. This man needs no introduction right here, Tony Dungy. You were able to be up close and personal with Rondé Barber throughout his career. Just what is it like seeing him get honored this weekend?
I'm really proud of Rondé, just the way he approached things and how he went about his craft. Just a true professional, set the tone, set the bar very high, and this is so well deserved.
What is the most impressive thing about Rondé making his case to the Hall of Fame and just what he was like as a player?
I think the consistency year in and year out, game in and game out, being there and playing at a high level and not missing many games, just always being available. He made us look like smart coaches because we kind of figured out as we went along all the things that he could do, and it was just a matter of letting him do what he could do, and that made us look good.
And then, of course, he's remembered as sort of being the modern-day slot corner position. Just what was it that you saw back in his early days that said, I feel like he's different than what has come before him?
Well, what happened, a lot of teams were going to 3 wide receivers then, so we went to the nickel defense, put him in that slot position, but then as it evolved, we found out more things he could do, and he was a great tackler, he was a great blitzer, he was instinctive, so we took advantage of those things, and now everybody's looking for that. It's very difficult to find that total package.
Making his way through the gauntlet, one by one. Getting ready to hug it out with G. Brooks. And number 9 in your program, number 1 in your heart, Warren Sapp.
This was a special event to witness. Of the 371 Hall of Famers in the building, 112 were at the Civic Center to celebrate the new class. One of their great traditions is something called the Gauntlet. So all the Hall of Famers in attendance get introduced, they sit down, Bucs legends Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, and John Lynch among those in attendance. After that was over, the class of 2023 gets to walk through the Gauntlet. That's where we see Rondé Barber getting dapped up by the greatest players in NFL history, also some coaches, some owners. In a new wrinkle, John Lynch was selected by Rondé to present the gold jacket with Roger Goodell, but it was actually his former DB coach and current Steelers head coach, Mike Tomlin, who put that puppy on him. As you can tell, he was loving every minute of it, and John Lynch was honored to be on the stage with him.
So happy, so proud for Rondé. You know, the guy's resume spoke for itself, but I got to get to know the human being, the friend, and what a player. I mean, he was a playmaker in the greatest sense, and he did it in so many ways, so many different positions, and he earned and deserved his way into this Hall of Fame, and so proud of him to join Derek and Sapp and myself. We couldn't be happier for him.
So what is it like in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? You can spend hours and hours in that museum learning about the game of football. We give you a little snippet of what life is like within those walls and what you can expect if you ever want to make the trip yourself. All right, so when you start your tour here at the Hall of Fame, you're greeted with this beautiful statue of Jim Thorpe, the legend. He, of course, helped bring the National Football League, starting here in Canton and then across the country. You also get to see the differentiation between what Thorpe was using back then to what we're using now. You thought Brady had Deflategate here. He would have needed it for that. These are the helmets from today. These are the helmets from their day. A little different. This is a very interactive place to be. So this is just one of the few interactive things you'll see on this trip. You can compare your hand size. So this is a helmet where they actually have coaches calling in the plays, and you're supposed to communicate those plays to your receivers. Not exactly what you're supposed to do with this segment, but we have willing participants here. You can actually go into an instant replay booth and you make the call. Was it a catch? Was it not a catch? This is probably the coolest part of the Hall of Fame right here. Of course, where your bust goes, you're staring at Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp is actually staring right at Derek Brooks, another legend on that defense that brought a Super Bowl to Tampa Bay. They both get to stare at each other here. And then by the time that you're watching this and you ever come to Canton, the 2023 spots, they're not filled with Rondé Barber or Ken Riley yet, but they will be. As you can see, beyond looking at the history of all the Super Bowls, you can take a look at all the Super Bowl rings, and man, have they changed over time. They're getting bigger and bigger, more pricier. I'm sure the owners are loving that. You can also design your own ring, by the way, so I got ahead and already looked at making my favorite here. Now, some people start here, I ended here, and that's with the 2023 class. Obviously, this circulates once every year with who's going into the Hall of Fame. Number 363 is our guy, Rondé Barber. And man, he has done a lot, not just in the sport of football. As you can see, his Defensive Player of the Week ball, his 200th consecutive start. That's why it's important for him. But down here, this is something not often talked about with Rondé, is the children's books that he created with his brother Tiki. Tiki is actually going to introduce him into the Hall of Fame during Enshrinement Week. I hope you enjoyed the Cliff Notes version of life through the Hall of Fame here in Canton. You could be stuck inside this building for hours. We made it real quick and easy for you, but as our trip ends here, it's time for us to go into the Hall of Fame store and grab some goodies we can bring home to Tampa, St. Pete, and all the surrounding areas. Thank you for taking a walk with us through the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Rondé Barber wasn't the only local product that entered the Pro Football Hall of Fame. If you thought 6 years was a long time, how about 35 years? That's how long Bartow native Ken Riley had to wait to enter the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and sadly, he is not alive to see it. I went to his Bartow home to speak with his widow, Barbara, about this bittersweet moment.
Let me take this opportunity to welcome you aboard for 1969.
The path to a playing career in the NFL is different for everyone who has suited up in the league.
Yeah, but that's what they start calling the Rattler Code of FAMU.
That includes how you get there, how long you stay there, and the impact you make upon leaving.
This is when he retired. That was the last game he played in Cincinnati.
Out of the 25,000 plus players who have ever lined up in this league, only 371 can steer their career into the Pro Football Hall of Fame and call it home. The newest addition here, Bengals legend and Bartow native Ken Riley, is member 368.
Oh my goodness, we are overjoyed right now for him.
Barbara Riley is Ken's wife.
Oops.
Her husband's #1 fan who has diligently documented his success throughout the years.
And this is the second one.
The stats seemingly speak for itself, which is why she'll never understand why 35 years after his eligibility opened, Mrs. Riley now has to speak for him. Why did it take so long for Ken to get this recognition?
That was a $65,000 question.
Ken's 65 interceptions still rank in a tie for 5th most ever in NFL history. In his 15-year career with Cincinnati, he recorded a pick every season, playing a total of 207 games. Consistent, productive, game-changing, and for many, including the Rileys, overlooked.
His stats, why aren't they speaking? You know, what are they looking for?
The sad reality is there's no true answer, something Ken realized before his death in June of 2020 after suffering a heart attack at 72 years old.
And it's still sad, and I still say, oh, it's so sad. That will complete his career, and he knew he was one of the best, but they didn't see it like we saw it at the time.
Until it was too late. No knock, just tears shed between Ken's former teammate Anthony Munoz and his son Ken Riley Jr.
I was been praying for this call.
I'm sorry that, that he is not here to accept all the accolades and the interviews and things for himself and to put on that gold jacket and say to himself, I did it, I'm here.
Barbara feels closest to her late husband of 51 years, walking to the laundry room. Seeing this photo, she couldn't wait to tell him the good news.
When I look at it and I said, you finally made it into, the Hall of Fame,
Barbara will see her husband much differently on Enshrinement Day. unveiling his bust for the very first time.
When I get there and I see it, I know it's going to be emotional. His bust and his name will be in there forever for people to come and see.
That's something his new home in Canton will be able to share with his childhood home in Bartow. There was an address change made on June 3rd of this year.
It was good. It was a good moment, a proud moment.
When Barbara walks past her photo, there's a quote saying, "Even when they are gone, we can still look back and clearly see the trail they left behind."
You know, everybody pushing, just pushing and keeping his name out there. So finally it did happen.
For those closest to Ken, the trail was always there. For many, they're finally seeing it.
At the end, he said, "I'm done waiting. I'm done."
How about CeeLo Green as a Hall of Fame party entertainer? Rondé Barber was loving life because that is the first time he saw his bust, which will reside within the walls of the Pro Football Hall of Fame forever. We revisit Induction Day, our exclusive interview with Rondé right after he got off the stage, plus other goodies from former players, team executives, and fans.
I'm not going to stand up here today and give you ordinary because I was not an ordinary cornerback. I stand here amongst these legends of the game, remembering a time when I was never imagined to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer. My rookie year, hell, my second year in league, I was literally just hoping Rich McKay wasn't going to cut me.
What an amazing scene here in Canton, Ohio, as the 2023 class has been officially enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Rondé Barber is in, the Bucs legend, a 5'9" nothing DB who was not given a chance coming out of college, didn't play his rookie season, proved the next 15 years of his career that he was among the 371 who are right now in that Hall of Fame. Rondé had plenty of support from Buccaneers fans making the trip to Canton to cheer on one of the best to ever wear the uniform.
Oh, it's great. He's a class act and promised the wife 20-some years ago, if Rondé ever made it to the Hall of Fame, we were going to be here, so we're here.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite Buccaneers of all time. One reason is because of his smile. He has a nice broad smile, friendly, and he's always been friendly to all the fans that I've ever seen. It's the capping of his entire career, so I want to join in the celebration.
He was always the underdog, so to speak. I mean, he had tremendous talent. Maybe his size wasn't what you wanted, but as he will say himself, just his determination and hard work. Well, I'd always wanted to come to this event, and of course this was a perfect opportunity.
His brother Tiki was with him to unveil the bust that will now live inside the Hall of Fame forever. He said after 40 years of being on this football journey, it's finally over and he can stop constantly trying to prove people wrong. I spoke with him exclusively after he made that Hall of Fame speech, and this is what he had to say.
Relieved, over with. I can go get a drink in my gullet and have some fun and celebrate with all the people that are here. I wasn't nervous until I stepped up to the podium. I felt great, but I enjoyed it. That moment, you got to capture it, and I think I did my best to say what I wanted to say, and I know all the fans at home are loving this, so cheers.
I think I was most impressed by his words. He spoke with purpose. He spoke with a inspiration to be extraordinary and be great. You got to do uncommon things. And that's who he is. He had to fight to get where he is, and it's special to see him finally rewarded for it.
This is so exciting, so happy for Rondé and his entire family. He waited a while to get here. It's so sweet for him. You know, I teared up numerous times today. This is just means so much to not only for himself, but the whole Buccaneer family, the Tampa Bay community, what he did for 16 years on the field, helped bring us a Super Bowl. Just a wonderful, wonderful day.
It was great. Rondé Barber, one of our favorite players ever. He's the best nickel ever to play the game.
Rondé was the consummate pro. Long career, 16 years, available. He stayed healthy. He performed, did the work in the classroom, did the work on the field. A great mentor to the young guys. He went through adversity. He went through the pain, the good times, the bad times. He's a true Buccaneer for life and now true Hall of Famer for life. So, unbelievable teammate and unbelievable player.
Yeah, no, it's a you know, everything goes back in time and history, you know, with everything Rondé did, and you know, going back to, you know, all the moments of you know, success that we had together and stuff like that. Being here with other teammates that are supporting Rondé and talking about that, it's you know, it's a blessing.
The journey, my football journey that I've been on for 40 years, has reached its zenith, and with that realization comes a pretty good reflection for me, that there's nowhere else to go. I can stop being an angry worker. I can actually stop trying to prove everyone wrong. I've come a long way in 26 years. After today, there will be 23 corners in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I'm not like any one of them.
So now Rondé Barber will make yearly trips to Canton, Ohio to welcome future classes to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But it is one thing to celebrate in Canton, it is another to do it in the Tampa Bay area, one he calls home. And he had a special moment a week before his Ring of Honor ceremony inside Raymond James Stadium at the Tampa Theater, where the premiere of his documentary Prototype was aired. This was put on by the Buccaneers organization, and you can watch it right now on their YouTube channel. It was a day he will never forget, and he had quite the clientele in attendance.
Wednesday, September 20th, 2023, as Rondé Barber Day in the
Well, the man of the hour here, Rondé Barber Day. What does that mean to you?
It means you get to come out here and interview me live and at a premiere of a documentary showcasing my journey to the heights of the NFL. So it's great to have this many people out here, Evan. Obviously my friends and family, a bunch of my teammates will be here, but to have this showing of the people of Tampa here, it solidifies what we've known a long time. This is one of the greatest communities in the country, and they appreciate the people that make a difference in their lives. This is great.
I learned from Rondé that size don't matter. You know, it's really the size of your heart, man. Rondé would be out there fighting with people, and then I look up, it was a lineman he was fighting with.
I can relate to that, just the mentality of people telling him he couldn't do something, and obviously he achieved it at the extreme highest level he possibly could have.
He's a phenomenal ambassador to the sport of football and to the city of Tampa, and I'm pretty fired up to be here.
I gotta say, I was wondering whether I should say this, but I appreciate all these Philly fans that came down to celebrate with me in my Hall of Fame.
It is now the end of the night here on September 25th, 2023, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost to the Philadelphia Eagles 25-11. The team is now 7-4 since that night in Philadelphia, where Rondé Barber shut down the vet and helped the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win their first ever Super Bowl championship. I do not believe it's a coincidence that Rondé Barber received his ring against this opponent in prime time, and the halftime celebration inside Raymond James Stadium marks the end of a 7-month celebration of his career and accomplishment.
I'm proud to be standing up here in the shadow of Leroy Selman, whose family's here with me, my coach, Tony Dungy, my teammate, Warren Sapp, my two teammates that aren't here, Derek Brooks and John Lynch. This represents us, our 2002 Super Bowl championship.
This is the tightest group right here that I've ever played with. I want y'all to keep this party alive for 363 days, and we'll be right back. Houston next year, Super Bowl champions. Repeating, baby.
There's something great about professional football. Whether you're friends and fans or foes, we are brought together by this great game. And I am honored, humbled to be your legend and to be your Hall of Famer. Thank you, everybody.
So who will be the next member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers organization to enter the coveted halls in Canton at the Pro Football Hall of Fame? We know Tom Brady will be there, but of course, Tampa Bay was just a small sliver of his career as he spent most of it in New England. Will Mike Evans finish his career here in Tampa Bay? His future is uncertain. The fact that Rondé was able to spend his entire 16-year career with one organization, with the Buccaneers organization, is special, and we honestly don't know if someone like him will ever come again for the lovely fans here in Tampa Bay. Thank you so much for joining us for this 10 Tampa Bay Plus special, and once again, congrats to Rondé on making it to the Pro Football Hall of Fame.